Welcome to the Grow and Expand with S podcast, the #1 podcast for female founders, visionaries, and entrepreneurs who are ready to claim wildly successful and wealthy businesses without sacrificing that freedom-based lifestyle that they started it all for or burning out. And today, I'm so pleased to introduce you to the guest expert, Holly MacCue, who is a sales and messaging coach. Hi, Holly.
Hey, Shawnee. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on, Holly. And if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit with the audience about who you are.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm Holly MacCue. I'm a Brit living down under in Adelaide. I've been in Australia for 12 years now. And focus of my work is really helping my clients to nail their positioning and master their messaging so they can be seen as the no-brainer choice and attract clients more effortlessly and have win-win authentic sales as a result. I'm a mum of 2 and a chai tea lover.
Chai tea lover, so good. As in chai latte or chai tea?
No. That's a hard. No, I'm very fussy. I don't do the powdered syrupy nonsense. It has to be proper, like masala chai, brewed on water with milk and a tiny bit of honey.
I love a chai latte. It's just those cozy, comforty, cinnamony, pancakey. But then one day I was like, ooh, I'm going to try a proper chai. And it was like strong.
Spicy, yeah.
But I get that's the authentic version and that I'm the softie. So, Holly, tell us a little bit about messaging. So I suppose for the ladies listening and however they're engaging their audience at the moment, whether it's emails, whether it's Facebook, Instagram messaging, even networking, tell us a little bit about the role that messaging plays and how that can either tip something in their favor or leave money on the table.
Yeah, this is such a great question. And I think messaging gets overlooked a lot in the quest for our websites and our branding and our sexy offers and shiny launches. But at the core of it, messaging is the tool that draws the right people into your world in the first place. And when we have messaging that feels relevant and resonates, things can happen in an absolute heartbeat in terms of the response that you can ignite in someone who's searching for the exact thing that you offer, or it can completely fall flat, miss the mark, even though you have what that person needs and you could absolutely change their lives. If your messaging isn't resonating and connecting, then they don't know that. And the challenge we have, especially online, is you have 2.5 seconds to stop the scroll and capture the right people's attention. And if you don't, they're scrolling on to the next, bear meets whale viral meme that's going around and doing the loop-de-loop. And yeah, you've lost obviously an opportunity to support and serve someone and impact their lives for the better, and you've lost a sale.
And so I'll be honest with you. So since I did your course, so I did one of Holly's courses, an online webinar type thing. And since I've done it, I find, because one of the things you said was look back over the things that you've stopped your scroll for and there's insights there to be had. And so then what I've started doing is when I stop, I immediately go, ooh, thought bubble. And then I see that it is the ones that incorporates the structure and thoughts, the thought-changing flavor, or for lack of a better word, that, you teach. So there really is a science behind it. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so my signature approach is something I've called magnetic selling framework. And I call it the art and the science of being able to magnetize the right people into your world. And when you do that, sales take care of themselves because you have created such a deep resonance that people already know that you can help and support them. And the science aspect really comes from the sales psychology element, which I'm a massive nerd about. So it's the pairing and combination of the science behind what leads someone to say yes or no, what motivates someone to buy or not. And with the all-important art, which is your unique expression, your essence, the way that you say things, the way that you show up, which can't be replicated, which is why cookie cutter templates never really work. But it's both. And once we understand, A, that we can have full permission to express our truth in the way that makes sense for us and in the way it's going to call in the people who are our best perfect match people, but also understand what it really is that people need to be exposed to in order to understand why they should act or not, then you eliminate the guesswork ultimately around what people will respond to, what to say, what to share, what to sell. And that is game changing, especially for people who want sales to feel more authentic and more in integrity.
Yeah, love that. The thing that I also really enjoy about you, and that weaves through everything you do, even when we have had our one-on-one chats, but also throughout your course, is how you blend energy and energetics with messaging, because I'm a firm believer energy's the strongest seller.
Yeah.
So I'll one day do a course that really says your energy is the thing that sells most. But I know that's not entirely right, because I know that not everyone is so good at reading energy to then know whether the person's a yes or a no, right? So people still have that kind of logical mind side, but you blend both.
Yeah, it is both, as you say. And of course, our energy gets often the right people in the room to begin with, but it's the clarity and conviction in your offer messaging that's going to seal the deal for them, right? So people, it needs to feel good and feel aligned to work with someone, but it also needs to make sense. And there's people, no doubt, that you follow, Shanae, where you love their energy and their vibe, but maybe you don't really have a lot of clarity of exactly what they do or how they could help you. And they've never really connected the dots in explicit enough detail or specificity for you to be like, oh my gosh, I need that in my life. Equally, there's people where we can see they are masters of their craft and they're clearly so good at what they do, but we just don't feel energetically drawn towards them. And so it has to be both. People have to have confidence in your expertise and they have to feel a connection to who you are.
Love. What would you say is the biggest pain point that your clients come to you for? And then what's the biggest needle mover in that pain point?
That's a great question. A lot of it is I just don't know how to articulate my brilliance in a way that feels like me and makes sense for my clients. I think that's probably the biggest pain point. And so they end up, God knows how many iterations of the message that never see the light of day, or they're just flip-flopping between different strategies, or they're writing in a way that doesn't even feel authentic because someone told them this was the way to write a social post and all the things like that. But really, the thing that makes the biggest difference is, and I literally just had a conversation with someone who said, you've made me feel so seen and heard. And that's all anyone is actually craving, because the people that you're seeking to support with their pain points often feel completely alone and isolated in those struggles, right? We think we're the only ones who haven't figured this out already. And what's wrong with us? And everyone around us is just like coasting. And whether that's a parenting issue or a health issue or a relationship dynamic or a business challenge, it can often feel like we're the only ones who haven't figured this out. And the moment that you can hold up the mirror with a piece of copy and your messaging that says, I get it, and actually paints the scene of what they're going through to a point where they feel like, oh my gosh, someone actually understands me. There is nothing that magnetizes people more, because what drives us ultimately as human beings is the desire for inclusion, a desire for that sense of belonging. And so really getting into the details of reflecting back what I call the little action scenes where those pain points manifest in the day-to-day for your people, that is one of the most powerful ways you can ever create messaging. And the challenge people slip into is they're far too surface level in what they're putting out there and describing as the problem. And they actually need to get into the depths, because only in the depths is where the resonance is going to be created and felt.
Yeah, cool. So step us through that. So is that like this morning I had a literal scream fest at my children. So what's happened is for the last 2 days, this is sidetracking, but there's always a reason why something sidetracks. Like every good woman, I have an over-responsibility identity that I sometimes slip into. And whenever I slip into her, it's not long before my higher self is like, nah, fuck it. And then I pull back. And it's whenever when work is going well and outcomes are flowing in, it's like when I let my guard down, Holly. It's when I let my guard down that they pounce. And anyways, now I'm picking up again with a few kind of work things. And then I'm like, oh, I can see now how the past 2 weeks I've been relaxed because everyone's dropped and I've picked up. And so for the last 2 days, I've walked around the house and just everything that lies around that I would usually pick up and do something with, I've put it on our dining room table. And I've just kept doing it. Husband and kids and mine. So I'll be honest, there was 4 of my own items. And I just let it play out. So the morning, there was some. That afternoon, there was more. That night, we're eating dinner. Nobody saying a thing. There's this pile. It's day 2. Anyways, this morning was the 3rd morning, and probably I'm most angriest at my husband, who's not saying anything. And so for the kids, when they're like shoving it to the side, I just lose my shit, right? And I just go, can you guys see how this is, if I don't do it, no one does. This is the invisible load, guys, that mum does for you. And Leah, if you just did yours, and Aubrey yours, and if daddy just did his, then mummy, and then I realized in the moment I was talking to 2 children, that's 6 and 9, and I have my own energy tools to self-regulate through, and then also to not feel the shame that comes up when you realize, oh shit, I'm really having the conversation with the wrong people here. Is what you're suggesting, like I go back in a week's time and use this for, is that what you were like for, and then go, so here's the tool, or if anyone wants the tool, is that what you were meaning, like into the pain points and the moments?
100%, Shanae, we were all just there in that moment with you. Like we were all sat around your dining table just then going, oh my God, how's this going to play out? We were connected emotionally to you, the story, and we're feeling that universal relevance and resonance. And our version of that story might look like, I don't know, picking up someone's box and throwing them out the door, or it doesn't really matter. But whatever is personal is also universal. And when you create a story like that where we're there in that moment with you, now we're invested and you've captured our attention. And now we're receptive and open to what needs to shift or what we can do differently to bring about an alternative outcome in that type of context. So in this one, parenting and feeling like we're the only ones hauling the invisible load, which I'm sure a lot of mums can relate to. Whereas if you had simply said, oh, you'll have such a happier work-life balance and a happier home environment if you just use these energetic tools every day, and then you'll have better boundaries. We're not like, it's just like...
Yeah, it's just words on the paper almost. Yeah.
So many people are leading with that instead of capturing the moment where the pain point plays out in reality. So that might be that, I call these the micro trigger moments, okay? And it can be the last straw moment, like one more sock ends up on that damn dining room table.
And no one's doing anything about it.
It could be like a moment in front of the mirror when you're zipping up your favorite pair of trousers to go out with your friends and you realize you can't do the damn zip up. It's that micro trigger moment of, oh my God, like, I need to do something about this. I can't stay in this moment anymore. Just like you couldn't stay in that moment anymore without having that conversation. And then suddenly there's this understanding of what's the impact, because we can suck up a lot of problems only when those problems start to impact the things or the people we care about most that we're driven to take action. And we have to meet people in the moment where that problem is having an impact and hold up that mirror and say, this is what's happening. And this is why it's feeling like such a struggle. This is why it's feeling like such a frustration. This is why you can't shift the belly fat or whatever it might be. And so at this point and at this point only, now that we've held that attention, is where we can introduce what we call the perspective shift, which is what you were mentioning just before when you're noticing what stops the scroll. And it's that aha truth bomb moment of clarity where it literally illuminates a different possibility and the reason why we're stuck. And we're stuck in that loop. And that's how you connect the dots between where they are today versus your offer and solution being the no-brainer next step. And then and only then have you got them fully on board, not just emotionally connected, but it rationally makes sense that this is the missing piece. This is what I need. Tell me where to sign up. So these are like the must-have messaging ingredients that are these very subtle sales psychology cues that people on the receiving end are not even conscious of. But that's the point. They're speaking at a subconscious level, and it's our subconscious mind that drives 95% of our purchasing decisions. So when you're only talking surface level rational, you've got people's interest, but it's where you're more likely to hear, yeah, that makes sense. When I have time, I'll get around to that, as opposed to clear the decks, grab my credit card, I'm making this happen.
Yep. And this is interesting. So then also what's come to me when you're speaking is, what's your view and perspective on So we have that pain point, right? And that moment of change has to happen. And for me, that is where I, particularly at the start of my journey, made my decisions from. But things have evolved a little bit, and there's now such a thing as pleasure point marketing and marketing towards the desires. And I'm not going to lie, it was seeing the freedom-based lifestyle that I could see entrepreneurs have that drew me to go, it's possible. Now, in hindsight, a lot of them, that was just Instagram, and I'm not sure that is what they were doing, because I have done the identity work to claim the freedom and to not just fill my list. And I'm like, I'm not sure behind the scenes, but it was seeing that as a possibility and that pleasure and that, I don't know, that possibility behind it that then made me move towards some of their products. So what are your thoughts about pleasure point marketing?
Well, it's both. It has to be both. So the pain point will be the catalyst for recognizing something needs to shift. I cannot stay in this point anymore. But we need to paint the picture equally with that detail that brings it to life of what could be different. And again, the impact of that. And that is absolutely what's going to move us into action. So what's on the other side of your offer and solution that holds the key to everything they want that right now feels elusive? So it's absolutely both. You're absolutely right. You meet them in the point of where they're at right now and what they wish was different. And then you show them the door opener invitation into what could be different. The only missing piece is this, and this is where I'm going to help you close that gap. And that's
and Holly, you are a fellow freedom life claimer, aren't you?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, this is the whole reason I became an accidental entrepreneur. It was just the only way that I could do the work that I wanted was to start my own business. When I first moved from London to Sydney 12 years ago now, I actually just wrote a post about this on my socials today because it's been quite the journey. And once I really got into everything, I realized I was creating a business for a family I didn't even have at the time. And I just knew, and it was that desire that drove me, a desire for choices, a desire to be able to make my own decisions and have the flexibility to do what I want and live where I want and not be tied to some goddamn 9 to 5 where I have to do this commute and I have to show up at these hours. And, you know,
and do it exactly their way.
Yeah. And I think it stifles us when we're creatives. You know, I know you're the same. Like we're impulsive and we're spontaneous and we get these streams of consciousness and we're just like, go. And
exactly.
I drive my team around the bend because this week, Holly's got a new idea again. Let's make it happen. But in the reality is I have these pinch me moments of I am living the life I once dreamed of. I'm literally living the life I once dreamed of. I am there for after this, I'm going to go and pick up my kids from school. I'm going to take them to swimming, and in a couple weeks' time, it's their nativity play, and I'm going to be there on a Friday morning. And who cares? I don't have to ask permission from anyone else. And this is our driving force. We have to have a why behind what we're doing.
Absolutely. So entrepreneurship is something, whether you fall into it or whether you consciously choose it, it is not an easy feat. I won't be persuaded otherwise that it's all sunshine and roses. So please give us and the fellow women in the room who's listening to this your biggest course or program or mentor or tool that you've done outside of messaging. This is you personally in the entrepreneur space that has helped you in the business journey.
Wow, that's such a good question.
And then also your worst one. So the one where that's just what a fucking time, money waster. Don't know how it was their good psychology messaging that got me in. It was not a deliverable. And obviously don't name and shame, just like just.
I studied with someone to learn sales psychology and someone who's equally obsessive with all the neuroscience and the nerdiness. And that I feel like that was one of the biggest game changers for me. Just actually, and I've always been fascinated with personal development, how the human brain works. So the whole reason I got into entrepreneurship started from my quarter life crisis. And we don't need to say how many years ago that was now, but that sparked the trajectory of me learning about personal development full stop. Like I just hadn't had that in my life up until that point. And I was like, this whole new world of possibility that I don't have to think the way I'm thinking and I can feel differently about myself.
I
Oh my
can
God.
change it.
Yeah, I know. And so that led to learning with the co-creator of NLP, John Brinder, which was just so life-changing. And then deciding to become a certified coach so I could share it with others. But yeah, so I've always been fascinated with like how people behave. So I'd say that is one of the cornerstones of just crystallizing what I wanted to specialize in and how I wanted to support my clients. In terms of the worst experience, I think I can't actually think of one.
Okay, that's great. I've got 5 I can rattle off.
Let's hear
My
yours.
biggest one was Canva templates. Buying Canva templates. It just never fucking works. It's what looks good on theirs doesn't look good on yours. No. So for me, just like an example. And I think I had to bump my head 3 times.
Oh gosh. Well, I have just thought of one I just realized. So I've changed my niche 3 times. I've been a sales and messaging strategist since 2019. When I first started, I was a career coach for corporate professional women who wanted to have a more purposeful direction in their career path. And so at the time, LinkedIn was a bit more of an obvious platform, which I still have a bit of a corporate hangover from. And so this was a previous coach who I'd loved working with. And then she had this different offer where her team, so she wasn't really involved, would basically use that sales navigator tool. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. It would bring all these leads in and you'd have these like automated messages that they'd receive. And then the idea was they'd book calls with you. And every single part of it felt icky and awkward and spammy. And this is not what I would say, but it was like, but this is what works. And I didn't get a single call booked out of it, probably because none of it felt authentic and aligned. It all just felt a bit gross. And it was literally like going through spreadsheets every single day, going, which lead can I send the next message to and which person? And I don't want a bar of that. And so what I realized at that time, which was probably a bit of a turning point for where I've ended up, is I don't want sales to feel gross. Like sales is a service. What we're really doing when we sell our offers is we're inviting people to access absolutely everything they want in this particular area, where we can genuinely open the doorway and pave the stepping stones for them to get there. And that can create such an incredible life-changing impact in their world and in those around them. Like it's such a gift. And our role is to make it easy for the people who need our gift to find it and access it. That's it. That's our role.
Yeah, it's because it's like communication, isn't it?
Correct.
You're just communicating so that they can hear and decide. And without that communication, you're depriving them of that information to make that decision.
And the opportunity that comes with
Yeah.
it. So that's what sales actually means to me. It's like this opportunity to support people with what they need and what you can offer. And it's conversational and it's authentic and it's real and it's genuine. And when it's done well, it literally feels great on both sides. And the way that I like to teach selling in magnetic selling is by the time people are reaching out to you, they're already pre-sold. They've already decided they want to work with you and they love what you're all about. And so you're not in a position of convincing and persuading and which message do I send next? It's just, hey, let's connect on which level of support is the right one for you. And they're selling themselves. They're literally asking for the link. They're thanking you for the opportunity. That's how it should be. So my whole concept of teaching selling is completely the antidote to bro marketing, pushy, spammy, sleazy, don't let them off the call until you got their credit card details type of vibe, which I have been taught as well. And instead, what needs to have happen? What do they need to be exposed to in our online experience, marketing and messaging for them to already know we're the one? And that can happen in a really short space
and
of
give
time.
people a fucking minute to decide. Like, I always just think that shows that they're discerning. That shows that they are taking it seriously. So that means when they come back around and say yes, they are in. They're actually in. They're not in from an energy where they feel trapped. And so give people that moment to decide. That's a good thing, guys. I hope everyone who's listening is catching on to that. So, Holly, where can people find you? How can they work with you? How can you, yes, well, we now know how you can help them, but where do they find you to find out exactly how?
Yeah, thanks. So, look, I'm mainly on Facebook and Instagram, so I can put my links in the show notes. I would love for you to connect with me. I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaways have been from today's conversation. So, please don't be shy. Send me a DM, send me a friend request. Absolutely love to hear that, or have any questions that you have that I can answer for you. How you can work with me. So, I have a number of really powerful digital courses. Shanae, you had me at Hello, which is all about how do we get that sign up in a heartbeat first impression nailed, where someone just knows they're in the right place and space with the right person. I also have my 6-month group mentorship, Magnetic Selling, where it's really teaching you the experience of authentic selling through knowing how to magnetize the right people in. And then I also have one-on-one options as well. One thing I did want to offer is I have a short 18-minute video training, which shares the 4 high impact messaging shifts that help you turn lurkers into clients. So that will just help you start thinking differently about some of your own messaging in your audience. It's completely free to access. You can watch it while you're having your next chai latte or proper chai.
Chai latte.
See which camp everyone's in. Yeah, so that'll be a great starting point for you. If this is resonating, if you're thinking, oh yeah, there's probably a few disconnects in line messaging or things I could do a little bit differently, then that would be a great starting point for you.
And I'll just speak into as well, Holly, that I know obviously as an entrepreneur how tricky it is to just get to that foundation of knowing your messaging and how to communicate it. But so does every entrepreneur that's listening at the moment or business owner. And I referred someone to Holly through an introduction not even 2-3 weeks ago. And she texted me just before this podcast, it left me a voice note on my Instagram saying thank you so much already and how much it has helped her already. I think this was your first by the sounds of it. Maybe she's done more with you. But so, yeah, that is how quick it can change if you enter Holly's world and if you're open to her messaging shift. So thank you so much for joining us, Holly. It was so lovely to have you on the Grow and Expand with This podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. What a blessing. And thank you for all the fabulous questions.
See you later. See you next time.